So, the translations are out for My Hero Academia Manga Chapter 311, and let me just say this. My predictions were wrong about what's going to be in this chapter, but what actually happens in this chapter may be shocking to you if you haven't read it beforehand. So before we get right into the intro, wait. Hey guys, how's it going? It is your boy, Big Blue Drew 97 here, coming at you with another My Hero Academia manga chapter review. This time, reviewing manga chapter 311, titled, They're Here. Ooh, ominous. Yeah, so when it comes to this chapter, we actually are continuing the focus on Deku. Go figure. It's like he's the main character, the main protagonist of the series, and yet I anticipated that it's My Hero Academia, that we're going to be focusing on the other students when they're back in school and back in class. Silly me, but yeah, no, in actuality, this is very interesting because we are going to be focusing on Deku. Ironically enough, we do not focus on Deku until the end of this chapter. Oh, but when we do, oh, it's amazing. But when it comes to the primary gist of this chapter, we're actually focusing on Endeavor, Hawks, and Best Jeanist, and basically them just having a conversation about what they're doing in the world right now and what's to come in the future. And before we get more into the actual review, I'd like to ask you, if you haven't done so, to subscribe to my YouTube channel of Big Blue Drew 97. If you like this type of My Hero Academia content, I cover the spoilers, I do reviews, I do discussions, theories, all that cool stuff. So if you're interested in that type of information, that type of videos, subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to be notified whenever I upload. And without the way, let's get right into the review. We start off the chapter already in progress with a few villains attacking Endeavor in this rundown shopping mall. And by rundown, I mean abandoned, because, you know, Hero Society has a whole abandoned. So we have these villains shooting at Endeavor, not with bullets, not with ammunition, but with nails. So people are fighting Endeavor with nail guns, and they're being very effective because they are so powerful. This weapon is so powerful that it's literally able to pierce concrete. As Endeavor sees this, it's like, is that a nail gun support item? As he comes to this realization of, damn you, Rat. This is all you're doing. As we see that Endeavor, as soon as the dude stops firing off the nails, we see a new super move from him. Ignited Arrow! And he pierces through the guy with flames, and the guy just slams, hits the ground, but he still has to retort to tell to Endeavor. And it's like, you know this is all your fault, right? And Endeavor's just like, yeah, that's why I'm here. As we get a cut back to the front of the mall where it's still raining, showing that most likely they're doing this at the same time that Deku was out saving that weasel, squirrel, rodent girl. So from here on out, we're going to be focusing on Endeavor, Best Jeanist, and Hawks. So after Endeavor has captured the villains and turned them into the authorities, Best Jeanist makes a quick comment about Jailbreaker, aka Muscular, and how he was a conspirator of One for All for One, but yet he didn't know anything, so they have really no traces of where to go when it comes to All for One. And while he's telling Endeavor this, we see that something gets thrown at Endeavor, as Endeavor turns and he just sees a crowd of people, and they're having signs and they're shouting out that they don't need fake heroes, and that all of this is Endeavor's fault, and that he brings nothing but misfortune, that if it wasn't for him, if he didn't stop Shigaraki, none of this would have happened. It's all your fault. We don't need your heroes. But probably the most impactful thing that this crowd of just angry protesters are saying, as we also see a sign that says we don't need fake heroes, is that one of them says that, yeah, it's not all over, isn't it? Because Shigaraki's after someone, and that someone is other than you guys. You're still keeping secrets from us, Endeavor. And that is very important, because here's the thing. When it comes to the secret that Endeavor kept when it came to, you know, being a horrible person to his family, yeah, that's very bad. But now he's keeping a secret to not protect himself, not to protect his identity, but to protect Deku, and that's something else that is brought up. So it's very interesting, and it's like a double-edged sword. He could be completely honest with the society, completely honest with the people, and tell them exactly what's happening, but then if he does that, there could be a lot worse backlash where people know about Deku, and they may try to blame him for everything. So, on the other hand, if he keeps a secret, people are going to be blaming him, but for the most part, Deku would come out of this really like unharmed and won't have that much pressure. And that's something else that they bring up about the reasoning why this is all happening, because once again, we see everyone talking and chanting about you're fake, you're a fake hero, you're horrible, all of this is happening. Someone even brings up that there were families of the people that Dobby burned on television. Did you see them? As they're just throwing things at Endeavor, as Endeavor just turns around, and both Hawks, Best Jeanist, and Endeavor, that was weird, just go into the car and leave. And then from here, this is where we have that extended conversation, as we have Hawks talking to Edshot, and how Edshot hasn't found anything, but he's still going to look into the Liberation front. But then you just have them having this conversation, particularly between Best Jeanist and Hawks. And the conversation starts off with Deku, as I was saying prior, and how they're planning to stay near Deku, but keep a few kilometers away to not put suspicion on him, and how if the media catches on that they're working with Deku, then a lot of the pressure that Endeavor is facing, and this is something that Endeavor brings up, that a lot of like the hate that Endeavor may be taking on may be placed on Deku, and that he would prefer for him not to do that, as well as the fact that they're still using Deku as bait. So basically, they're already putting a burden on Deku by literally being a target of an entire villain organization, but they don't also want to put the pressure of society on him, because just think about it. Just think about what happens in our own world when someone of Deku's age gets really popular, people in the media begin to scrutinize him for being a kid. He does one bad thing and he just gets bombarded by the media. A kid in our world just gets bombarded by the media. 9 times out of 10, that doesn't end well. Heck, even when it comes to children's stars, it doesn't end well. So just imagine that being placed on Deku, and he has done literally nothing wrong but try to achieve his dream, and given a power by All Might, who used it to be the #1 hero. He would get ripped apart for doing nothing. So it makes sense that Endeavor wants to protect him, but Endeavor still has to account for the fact that they're using Deku as bait. So it's just a very interesting conversation that they're just having pertaining to Deku, and just how important it is to make sure that his identity is a secret because of the fact that he's being used as bait, and the fact that they don't want to put any more burden on Deku that he already has. And then from this conversation starter, we actually begin to transition over to something that's even more important that they are discussing, that could have more long-lasting implications on the characters of Shigaraki, of All for One, and his motives and the reasoning why he actually may not be able to steal a One for All, as we basically get them talking about how Jailbreaker, aka Muscular, and they thought that because he broke out of Tartarus that he would have some connection to All for One, and apparently he didn't, foreshadowing to the end of this chapter. He may have, but they're basically talking about how because of this, everything with society is upheaving, and it's all surrounding around All for One, and how they must do their best to like help it. But then they begin like talking about how because heroes are disorganized, that this is the best chance for All for One to take One for All. But then they bring up what most likely what Deku told them, and it's about how Shigaraki is not perfect, and that it is All for One's top priority to take over Shigaraki's body. So then it leads into a conversation where they talk about how after All Might basically wrecked All for One's body, and how he only needs that machine to breathe, that he's been trying to put the finishing touches on Shigaraki to eventually take over his body. And this is actually confirmed by Garaki himself, which is confirmed that he's still in prison, but that because Shigaraki's body was incomplete, that it wasn't that All For One was unable to like really be able to start taking over. So now All For One's plan is to make sure that he's able to take over Shigaraki's body when it's fully completed. And then once Shigaraki's body is fully completed, they come to the conclusion that that is when he will seize One For All. But then Hawks begins to make a comment of something bugging him. And Bestina's implies, it's like, Hawks is like, man, there's something really bugging me. And Bestina's is like, what? And you have Hawks, who basically talks about how Midoriya says that there needs to be a strong body to hold One For All, but does that body need Shigaraki's hatred? And how they basically confirm that, yeah, One For All carries the spirit of 8 people, so it may require a hatred or a will to exceed them. And that's coming from Best Genius. But then Hawks is like, but then what about All For One? Like, he's been literally chasing his brother this entire time for centuries. And for him to have a successor in Shigaraki, like, why does he have to carry an extraordinary amount of hate? And then you have Best Genius implying, well, do you think that it's not enough? And Hawks is like, maybe not. I'm just talking about my impressions, though, in reference to All For One. But he's talking about how this guy is always laughing. And then Endeavor chimes in is that he may lack a heart. That's very interesting, because if we're thinking about the idea that the only way to exceed and take One For All is to have a will stronger than it, and there's already 8 wills inside of it, maybe the fact that it's a will, or maybe that it's All For One's little brother, maybe he doesn't necessarily have the will to take it because it's his brother. Yeah, he had the will to give it to him, but maybe he doesn't have the will to take it. Or as Endeavor's implying it, maybe he's just unable to do it on a genetic level. Maybe he's unable to actually foster hatred, which is weird when you think about it. But when you also think about it, it kind of makes sense, because we haven't really seen him get angry at all or show any type of anger. We've only seen him like be happy the entire time, and like he may have shown like moments of like sadness and remorse, but for the most part he's always laughing, he's always smiling. So maybe he's incapable of showing hatred, which would be very interesting if that's the case, which is maybe why he's fostering hatred inside of Shigaraki. So yeah, after that lengthy conversation, all of the pro heroes are basically thinking like, well, anyhow, we just gotta make sure that everything goes all right. We have to take advantage of the situation since they're not fighting back. We may need to take more manpower out of like the safety of the public, but that's for the betterment of society. As we hear a beep, and Best Genius notices something as we cut over to All Might in his car, thinking about Deku and thinking about how he's tracking Deku, and how he's like, huh, by the looks of it, he's not getting much sleep, as he's remembering like a moment with Night Eye, as Night Eye literally told him the exact same thing, that he also needs sleep. So All Might is maybe most likely come to a realization that, huh, I'm guessing Night Eye was right. He really cared about me. And now I guess I will be Deku's Night Eye, as we hear that beep once again. And you may be wondering, oh, what is that beep? It's Deku, and apparently they lost his GPS signal. Oh no, this is horrible. Oh no, I can't find my Deku. Wait, let me see something. Oh, yep, nope. Yep, nope, I can't do it through my Find My Deku's app on my phone. Damn. It's very unfortunate about that. But yeah, it's not as unfortunate as what happens to All Might, because his car immediately explodes because apparently someone threw a grenade in it. Now, I'm pretty sure All Might sees the grenade, so I think that he could have escaped the explosion. Also, I don't think that you're going to kill All Might like this, but still, that sucks just to have an explosion go off. I'm pretty sure All Might is safe, but now we're getting towards the end of this chapter, because we also get to see Deku, while he was holding the phone, somehow, someway, the phone ends up being shot into the wall with a transmitter coming out of it with someone saying, "Young boy in green, we'll take you with us." As you have Deku come to this realization that, huh, they're coming for me finally. So Jailbreaker, aka Muscular, wasn't coincidence They must be connected to Jailbreaker. They're after me, aren't they? As we get this one final double page panel of, weirdly enough, the female from Tartarus with a sniper rifle coming out of her right elbow, talking to Deku, saying, "Follow our orders, and I'll leave your limbs attached." As Deku comes to the realization that an assassin was sent by All for One. Also, we get to see, I think that's Overhaul in the background. It has to be because he doesn't have any arms, so yeah. So yeah. What I'm trying to say something. What am I trying to say? Oh yeah, fucking awesome. So, if anything, this is going to be very amazing. If we're gonna focus on Deku for the next like 10 or 15 chapters, and we're just gonna be seeing him in a fight after fight after fight against other people who are associated with All for One going after him, you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm actually really okay with that. Like, I want to see what's going on with the students at UA, but this is very interesting because, first of all, she has a sniper rifle coming out of her elbow. That's fucking amazing. That's just awesome. And then I also have a color page panel of it, and it just looks even more amazing. But yeah, pretty much at the end of this chapter, we're going to get the continuation of Deku fighting off other previous villains, or even new villains associated with All for One. So this could lead to him facing off against this woman from Tartarus. We still don't know who she is. We can kind of guess what her quirk is, which is that she's able to create a sniper rifle out of her arm. But there could be more to it. Maybe she's like an arsenal where it's not just a sniper rifle. It could be like multiple blades. It could be other weapons. We just don't know. But she had a very unique design, so we guessed that she was going to play a major role. And yes, she's going to be playing a major role in this arc. So most likely next chapter, we're going to see Deku go up against this assassin lady, as well as potentially Overhaul as well. Meaning that there could be a very likelihood that Overhaul could try and fight Deku as he's being sniped from a distance, but most likely he's not going to allow this to happen. And because we get the confirmation that not only that All Might is following Deku through a GPS, but most likely the Pro Heroes are, most likely they're going to get to his location, probably slower, and try to help him go against these villains. If not, beat them before they get there, or force them to retreat. That is kind of what I'm predicting is going to happen. I obviously do not think that Deku is going to be captured. If he does get captured, I think that that will be a little bull, because we've seen that he's very strategic, and that the likelihood of him being caught, especially being able to use like these different quirks, makes it very unlikely. So most likely we're probably going to see more smoke screen in this battle, because she's literally a sniper rifle for an arm. She could also be able to like see through the smoke screen, which is a possibility as well. But we're going to see a blown out fight between Deku against this long range fighter, which we haven't really seen a whole lot of in the series. And we're most likely going to see Deku try to strategize, maybe using Air Force to hit her from a distance, may not be able to reach her in time, as well as like I said, most likely Overhaul is going to be in this fight, and maybe trying to attack Deku up close while he's being like fired at from afar. So it's going to be a very interesting fight dynamic, hopefully, and I can't wait to see it. So that was very interesting. And when it comes to like the first part of this chapter, it was very interesting because we get to see more of Hero Society hating on the heroes, getting to see the Endeavor going up against these villains, taking on the blame, and just the conversation about One for All for One. Really wish we had a name for him instead of just calling him All for One. But we have All for One, and them basically talking about the reasonings why he actually can't take Deku's quirk, and like what his actual goals are. So now the heroes know the information that we know. We know that All for One's going to wait for Shigaraki. We knew that he was going to try to take over his body before going after One for All. So the fact that the villains are now after him may confirm the idea that Shigaraki's body is complete, or at least extremely near completion, because now they're going to try and kidnap Deku and bring him there. So at the very least, like, it may not be completely complete, but it's just easier for them to take him now, bring him to Shigaraki, and then once Shigaraki is complete, he can instantly take Deku's quirk instead of going out and looking for it. So that's also a possibility. All I know is this is a very cool chapter, Very cool final page. A lot of information was in it, and I really did enjoy reading it, and hopefully you enjoyed this review of it as well as you enjoyed this chapter. And if you did, leave a like down below. Comment on what you liked about this chapter. Comment about what you think is going to be going on next chapter. Do you think that we're going to abruptly cut from this scene to go to the academia portion of My Hero, or do you think we're going to still focus on Deku? What do you think is going to happen in this fight between Deku and this sniper weapon? What do you think her quirk is? Leave your thoughts down below. Comment down below if you liked this chapter. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Do all that cool jazz. And hopefully I'll be able to catch you in the next video. Goodbye!